whatever business you're starting, whatever business you're running, don't wait for a perfect product to launch. Too many people are waiting for perfect. If you think about the digital world, which is, I had a digital marketing agency before this, and in the digital world, it's data, user behavior, and why did you click this button, and conversion rate optimization, and all of these acronyms in digital marketing space, but it's a completely disregarded in the physical real world, the non-virtual, right? When customers come in, why did you sit there instead of there? Why did you order this instead of that? Did you like that? Would you come back? What would you have changed? One person doesn't give you all the answers, but when you make a habit of talking to your customers, you're going to hear what they want. I don't have all the answers, so lose your ego when you're developing this product and skate where the puck's going to be. Give the customers what they're looking for.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the 2%, where, as always, we're having conversations with peak performers from all walks of life to help decode excellence, to help give you the practical strategies, tips, and tools that you can use to close the gap between your current and best self, not just in your work life, also in your personal life. And I'm super excited today to have our next guest. His name is Jeff Fenster, serial entrepreneur, disruptor in the US. This guy's got a crazy resume, CV, if you're on this side of the pond. And he's going to be taking us through all of that and hopefully weaving in through that some stories and some tips and tricks that you can learn to up your game. So welcome to the show, Jeff. Really great to have you here, man.
Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor. I'm a fan and excited to get the opportunity to speak to your audience today.
And you're hailing from, you're in California, right?
Yeah, sunny San Diego. So literally I am on the other side of the pond and then the other side of that country as well.
Yeah, very, very cool. And so let's bring, you've done a huge amount of things. We were saying just before we hit record here that rather than like rattle off that long list in the intro, we'll just naturally get to the conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to use half the podcast just introducing you. Let's bring things back down to earth though first, because one of the things that I try to stress, on these shows is that we're all born clean slate, right? Nobody's born with their success. It's created through hard work, perseverance, resilience, all that good stuff. But we're not even born that way either, right? We're just born completely clean slate. So can you bring us down to maybe perhaps some humbler beginnings? How did life, kind of start for you? What did that look like?
Sure. Yeah. I grew up with parents that basically said I could be a doctor, a lawyer, or a doctor or a lawyer. So it was stressed in me early. My dad was a doctor. And so I grew up thinking I was going to, my goal and dream was to be a professional athlete, but I wasn't fortunate to have the natural tools necessary to achieve that. And so decided to go the legal route and went to law school to be a sports agent and stay connected to sports and have a career. And this was 2004, 5, and 6. Back before even the word entrepreneur was even a word that we used. It was you had a job and a career, you were a business owner because you had a job and a career, and then you became a business owner, or you had a family business to go into. And so really my path, my plan was to be a sports agent. And graduating law school, my third year, I had a job lined up and met the woman who is now my wife, but we had a young daughter, and with a child in law school, I decided I didn't want to travel the world representing grownups. I wanted to be a present parent and raise my own daughter. And so it really kind of threw a curveball in my whole career, and all of that time and energy and effort into that path changed overnight. And so when I graduated law school, I had no idea what I was going to do. No plan, no path, and a baby, law school debt, and uncertainty, if you will. So I got a job. I got a job selling payroll services for a big company called ADP. I think they're international, so they're in the UK and Europe as well. And it was an outside sales job, making $38,000 a year selling payroll services and HR, human resource services to small businesses in San Diego. And with a baby and 6 figures in law school debt, I just had to pay bills. So I got this job, and I figured, okay, I'll figure out what I'm going to do. But I never actually wanted to be a practicing attorney. I wanted to be a sports agent, and to do that, I had to travel all the time. And so it just didn't fit with what my new life situation was. And so I did. And that was kind of my humble beginning. And fortunately, through something we'll talk about today, my core values and as a business individual as well as an individual is making friends and having fun. And those are my two business rules and my two most important core values and the two rules at all of my companies. But using those same principles without having them clearly identified, I was successful at selling payroll. And so I became ADP's #1 sales rep in the country my first 6 months there, and made a lot of money and figured out really quickly I was really good at this. And so as a result of that, and as a result of an issue with my employer over $17,000 bonus, I got thrusted into entrepreneurship, or what we now call entrepreneurship, and started my own payroll company out of my mom's kitchen 6 months later.
Awesome, man. So let's we're going to fill in the gaps in between, but let's kind of fast forward for a moment. So one of the things that puts a smile on my face is the variety of things that you've done. I mean, I've puts a smile on my face because in similar fashion, I've been I was at McKinsey and Company as a consultant, then I was in tech with Skype. And then as we were talking about, then I built a chain of Mexican restaurants. Now I'm doing a new gig now. And I looked at your resume and I was like, man, this guy is he has that same, mentality of basically you kind of just do whatever you want if you have the right mentality, right? So before we kind of get into that, because I'd really love to go into the mindset stuff, can you just take people, give us a snapshot of the different kind of industries and the businesses that you're in at the moment?
Today?
Yeah.
So today I run a company called Everbowl. It's a QSR, quick serve restaurant chain, focusing on superfoods, acai bowls, pitaya bowls, and all the different fun superfoods that we can put together into these beautiful concoctions. But I use a concept of vertical integration, and we built this to be a vertically integrated machine or system. And what that means is there's a bunch of subsidiaries and companies underneath it. So there's a company called We Build Stuff, which we created to build out all the Everbowl. So it's our construction and fabrication company. We have Unevolved Products, which is our manufacturer and import company, where we import superfoods from all over the world and manufacture our own proprietary flavors and bases for our restaurants that we then sell. We have Unevolved Products, which also does clothing, and we also partner with QVC and do direct to consumer. We also have Everbowl Finance, which is a finance company we use to finance franchisees. And then we have Everbowl Franchise, which is the franchise arm of Everbowl. And so all of those different subsidiaries and all those companies form together to form what is the Everbowl offering. And Everbowl is built off of our why, and my why is unevolved. It's a word I created and trademarked, and hence the word Unevolved Products. And unevolved means to live actively and eat stuff that's been around forever. And Everbowl's tagline is made from stuff that's been around forever. So it's the eating side of unevolved. It's the lifestyle that we're trying to promote, the lifestyle brand, as well as the lifestyle for every human to be the best version of themselves. Because when you eat good, you feel good. When you feel good, you look good. When you look good, you perform good. And when you perform good, you get everything you want in life. So it starts with the fuel we put in our bodies, and we want it to be on the forefront of that. And that's Everbowl.
That's awesome. I love it. I love the becoming the best version of yourself. That's something that I'm super passionate about as well. Connect the dots for us. How did you go from, what prompted you to want to get into the food space? Because it seems like that's like the spearhead of the whole thing.
Well, actually, I truthfully never really wanted to be in the restaurant business. I know nothing about restaurants. I think experience is one of the most overrated prerequisites to starting a company. Too often people wait to have all this experience. I'll tell a little story, but the day I was out to dinner with my mom and my dad and my kids and my wife, and this was 2016, and I said, hey, I'm going to start this restaurant called, this restaurant chain. And my plan was, it actually wasn't called Everbowl then. I didn't even have the name yet. And I remember my dad said, are you nuts? 9 out of 10 restaurants fail. And, my mom said, you don't know how to cook. And then my wife, because she was just having some fun with me, just said, all you do in the kitchen is eat and make a mess. And all of that is true. But remember, 9 out of 10 restaurants fail. Why do I need to have experience then? Because if I go get restaurant experience, I have a 90% failure rate. So the reason is because I would do the same things that everyone else did, which gives me a 90% failure rate or a 10% success rate. So what I like to do is come in with fresh eyes and disruption and disrupt new industries, and take whatever the modern present day business acumen I have and approach the problem differently. If everybody's going right, go left. And when nothing's going right, go left. And so for us at Everbowl, the idea was not to be in the restaurant business, but to actually be in the entertainment business and realize that people eat with their eyes. But if you create a good lifestyle brand and you create a good experiential situation, the consumers are going to really adapt to what we're doing. And we could adapt the menu, we could change what we offer to fit whatever the trends are or whatever the consumer's needs are. But when you're building that business, you got to remember, whether it's a restaurant chain, a payroll business, digital marketing, a dental practice, a law firm, a construction company, the core foundational principles of business are the same, right? You have to make more money than you spend. You got to have strong financials. You got to have a good P&L. You got to attract good talent. You got to have a good marketing arm. You got to do all these things that are just business and are not specific to restaurants, specific to construction, specific to payroll, or you name whatever industry you want. And so that's the mistake, is that good chefs try to start restaurants, and while they're amazing chefs, they don't have the business skills. And that's why 9 out of 10 restaurants fail, because restaurateurs are not necessarily business people. But when you can get a great chef and a great business person together, or you have someone who has both, you could be really successful. And so that's where I think for a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for this experience, they're chasing the wrong experience. You can hire a great chef or you can hire a great CEO, but you got to identify what strengths you have and what value add you're bringing to the enterprise, and then surround yourself with incredible people who can fill in those gaps. And that's one of my secret sauces. One of the things that, in order to be successful and to prove out that you don't need experience, is having no ego and surrounding yourself with incredible talent. Because at Everbowl, for example, I don't know how to build things. I could barely put Legos together, but we've built 36 restaurants. We can do it very quickly. And the WeBuild side is growing exponentially because we have an incredible WeBuild team and construction team that can manufacture and fabricate these stores exactly how we want them to be, on time, within budget, and allows us to scale. And I don't know how to build anything. You give me a hammer and you give me a screwdriver, and I don't know what to do with either one of them.
I love it. And take us, so you talk about how I think your point about how you don't need the experience is so liberating, right? Because I have a similar thought in that I've always said that I've unburdened myself when it comes to entrepreneurship, because I think of it as all the experience, all the expertise, all the resources that I need, they already exist. And my job is simply to connect the dots to the person, the book, the course, the knowledge, the mentor, the finance, whatever it is, and like pull it all together. And I have the sense that you kind of we share a similar view on this, right?
I think you just nailed it. My perspective is exactly that. Like, someone says, what's an entrepreneur to me? The simple answer is I'm a problem solver. Yeah. That's what I do all day. I just solve problems, and I try to bring in either the capital necessary, the product necessary, the people necessary, or whatever that objective is to solve whatever problems in front of us. And that's how we grow and scale companies. And so, in no way am I a firefighter, but in the business sense, I'm a firefighter. I'm solving the problems that come up every day that is standing in the way of this company getting to where we want to be, whether it's selling more product, getting more talent, raising more capital, whatever it is. Those are the problems. And to your point, all the information is there, whether it's humans that have it, YouTube, Google. I mean, the internet is the digitization of information, and the power of the internet in our pockets is such an enabling device that I internally feel sad for people who feel like they don't know how to get the answers they're looking for. I want to tell them, just turn off Instagram and turn on Google. If you ask Google questions, it gives you answers.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's so powerful to have that 24/7 at your hip, because I didn't have that when I started in 2004. I didn't have a smartphone. I had one of those little flip devices. Yeah. And so to have that for guys like us and men and women out there looking to grow their companies and trying to figure out, how do I get that next answer? Ask. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Hey, bingo. So take us, illustrate for us. So you 36 restaurants now. You got a vertically integrated, successful restaurant brand with all the ancillary, businesses. And but you started, blank slate. You weren't born like, oh my gosh, look, on Jeff's forehead, there's an Everbowl tattoo. There was none of that, but you've created it. So you started a completely blank slate, no experience. Show us how you, first year, like what were the first things you did to connect the dots tap into the expertise that you required? How did you kind of strategically put those pieces together?
So it was July of 2016. I was actually in Poway, California, visiting a former client of mine at my digital marketing company that I had just sold, and went to a Smoothie King to get a smoothie because I was looking for something to eat, and the owner was closing down the shop. He was literally taking things from the business, physical brick and mortar business, into his van, and he told me he was retiring at the end of the week. And he didn't sell the business because no one wanted to buy it for the price he was offering. So he was just closing it down, and his lease was up. So I got the landlord's name and number and signed the lease the very next week without a name or even the full menu, because I knew that I wanted to penetrate the space. I wanted to really build something in the health and wellness side. I think, like smoking, the information is there that what we eat has such an impact on us. So I started with my why. I think it's very important that you have a clear, definitive why you're doing whatever you're doing, because during the peaks and the valleys, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to chase all the squirrels. And I'm guilty of having entrepreneurial ADD. So that's why I really need to have a clear vision as to what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this every day? And once you know what that is, that's going to give you the inspiration and the motivation to chase that through the storms and through the dry spells and through the winds, and stay focused. Like, this is where we're going. So for me, it was about unevolved. It was about, I didn't have that word coined yet, but the concept was there, and I knew that was the direction I'm heading. And then it was about fine tuning that answer, that word unevolved, to the point where it's like, now with clear focus, everything we do at Everbowl is all surrounded on, are we getting closer to achieving the goal of promoting an unevolved lifestyle, helping everybody be the best version of themselves? If the answer is yes, it's very easy for us to decide whether or not we're going to do something. And so that first year, that first restaurant, so I signed a lease, told my family I'm now going to be in the restaurant business. Started figuring out what we were going to sell, came up with some names, started recruiting some friends of mine that were really good at branding to help me with the brand and the design and what we were going to call it, because I didn't have a name yet. Really came out with that offering. And then October 15th, 2016, I opened the restaurant, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to hire people, and I had never really hired for restaurant space. So I figured, okay, being that it's a quick serve restaurant and we're doing in the smoothies and acai bowls, we're not cooking fish or having exotic offerings. So I don't need, exquisitely talented chefs. I needed what I believed was going to be our core values of making friends and having fun. I needed to bring in good personalities that wanted to help promote the unevolved lifestyle. And so as simple as this was my hiring strategy. I asked everyone who was coming in to bring one thing unique and show up at a weird time. So I would say, bring me a red paperclip and I'll see you at 2:48. And I figured if they can follow directions and show up on time, I could train them to do the rest. And so that was my hiring protocol. And so those who did those two things and looked me in the eye during the interview and were friendly, I hired. So I hired 7 people, and we opened our doors. And the very first day I said, okay, you guys need training and we need to get customers. So go tell all your friends and family we're giving away free food at Everbowl. And you're going to make the food. So as many people as you invite, just remember, you're going to be making the food for them. And we're going to have some fun. And so we really did. We threw kind of a house party at Everbowl the very first day. A bunch of people came, a couple hundred showed up for free acai bowls, and we made it for them. And from there, it was just started to grow. And so it was like, okay, let's learn how we're going to do each thing. How do we clean a restaurant? How do we schedule? How do I order the right food? What is my cost of goods? And I started to use Google and learn what good restaurants do, and started to understand what prime numbers were in the restaurant space and what good targets were. And one of the secrets that I use that I recommend everyone else do is look at public companies in your industry, right? I mean, the Chipotle's in my world, the Starbucks is in my world, the McDonald's in my world, they're public, which means they have to do a quarterly report and they have to provide information to the public about their business. What are their goals for the next quarter and the next year? What are their results? What do their financials look like? What are the key metrics? Where did they miss? Where did they hit? What does the market think is success? And then apply that to your own business. So I started to understand what good restaurants, public restaurants were doing, and where they were getting enterprise value, where they were looked at successfully financially. And then I started to reverse engineer what mine needed to be as a small single operator in a small community. And that gave me a little bit of information that I didn't have before. And I self-funded the first restaurant and grew. And it really started to just kind of hockey stick, and by making friends and having fun every day with customers and realizing that was what we were doing, promoting an unevolved lifestyle, we were attracting great people, customers. And then because we were attracting great customers, you start to be busy, and then all things start to snowball. So for mindset purposes, and for the purpose of what your audience is looking for, is don't chase the ball, be in position so the ball finds you. And what I mean is, a lot of restaurants spend a lot of money on marketing, spend a lot of money on recruiting, spend a lot of money on driving customers. But I think that's the wrong approach. I want to attract them all, right? Because if you chase things, whether it's money, results, a boy or a girl, an animal, it runs, right? You're actually chase anything, watch, it's going to immediately start running from you. And that's true for tangible things as well, like money. A lot of people chasing money every day and they never get it. Do the good things, do the right things, and it's going to actually be attracted to you because you're not after it. And so what I mean is, by us recognizing quickly that we had a good product and we had a good culture, and by building the culture and making friends with our customers, making friends with our employees, and building this lifestyle brand, the food itself was good and it tasted better because people liked us. The food itself was good and our employees liked it because we were busy and we had happy customers. And so as a result, we started to get momentum. And once you get momentum, that starts to attract all the other pieces. So using my background as a serial entrepreneur, I started a construction company because the first restaurant cost me way too much money. It cost me almost $270,000 to build. And I said, well, I want to build 100 of these, because my 4 problems that I was solving to help promote the unevolved lifestyle, as I got laser focused on that why, was the 4 excuses we make to why we don't eat healthy, why we choose something fast and fried, why we go to McDonald's 3.7 times a week, or why we eat poorly. And in America, and I'm sure it's similar on your side of the pond, obesity, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, hypertension, it's killing us. And 80% of this stuff is preventable by lifestyle choices, by eating healthy and moving your body. And so if we know that and we're still doing it, my question was why? Again, I always go back to the why. So I came up with 4 excuses that humans make every day to eat something bad for us. And they are either A, we think eating healthy doesn't taste good. B, it costs too much money. You can't get it because you don't have enough time, or it doesn't fill you up. You feel like a salad's just not going to leave you full and satisfied. So affordable, filling, delicious, and accessible. And so in that vein, I realized what my 4 goals were. I need to make Everbowl affordable, filling, delicious, and accessible. I had to open a lot of Everbowls. And so immediately I went to the building side and I said, okay, I'm going to start a construction company so I can lower my cost to build and I can scale this thing faster. And when I scale this thing faster, a lot of things are going to happen. 1, I'm going to increase my buying power, which is going to drive down my cost of goods, which is going to let me, in turn, give that savings back to my customer to drive down the cost of my items, more affordable. 2, accessible. By opening more restaurants, we're more accessible. By being more accessible, we're going to get more customers, which means we're going to improve cost of goods, and those 2 things are going to happen. And so I signed my second lease 2 months after I opened my first one, even before we were profitable, because I believed wholeheartedly in this approach, in this strategy. And so the first year we opened 4 restaurants, October, May, September, October. Those were the first 4 openings. And self-funded them, just kept going and building and building and building. And as a result, what happens is now, because we're building stores so fast and we're opening more stores and we're announcing it, we're attracting more customers because people are getting familiar with our brand. We're attracting more employees because people want to be a part of growing companies where they can grow with the company and be a part of that. So we were attracting more talented, better people. We were attracting media attention because media loves growth, right? Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we attract more customers. And so it became this self-fulfilling snowball that just kind of grows as it goes down the mountain. And so that was kind of the first year, was just all about solving those 4, identifying the why of Unevolve, and then what are the 4 reasons why customers are going to come to Everbowl, and then doing everything we can to solve those 4.
Awesome. Love it. And you talk about having a great product and a great culture.
Yes.
So let's demystify product development a bit, because again, big menu, you got lots of things on there. And again, you weren't born with it in your head, right? It's not like Matrix where you downloaded it either. So how did you go about developing the products? Because presumably the food tasted good enough to give you the confidence to sign that second lease, 2 months after the first one. So yeah, take us through that. How did you do that practically?
By making friends with our customers. It's the number one thing most restaurants, in my opinion, don't do. I eat at restaurants all the time, so I can say this from personal experience. I never get asked by the chef or the manager or the restaurateur or an employee, hey, did you like this item? Tell me about it. What could we have done better? I never get asked that question ever. And I eat out 5 days a week. So you start to wonder, well, you have all of this data, right? If you think about the digital world, which is, I had a digital marketing agency before this, and in the digital world, it's data, right? Like that's all that Google cares about, and Facebook and Instagram and Apple, and it's collecting data and user behavior and why did you click this button, and conversion rate optimization, and all of these acronyms in digital marketing space about our digital behavior and digital habits. But it's a completely disregarded in the physical real world, the non-virtual, right? When customers come in, why did you sit there instead of there? Why did you order this instead of that? Did you like that? Would you come back? What would you have changed? And because we were seeing hundreds of customers a day, we were asking them what they thought. I was engaging in fruitful, deep conversation with customers. I wasn't just trying to get them to buy something. I would sit down at their tables while I'm sitting there and I would say, hey, how are you guys? And I get to know them. A, I'm building relationship. B, I'm getting to now ask them specifically, did you like the berry squared bowl? Yeah, I did. I thought it had too many blueberries though. Interesting. So less blueberries means I'm going to save money and you're going to like your bowl better. Or I wish I had more blueberries. Okay, interesting. Why, right? And one person doesn't give you all the answers, but when you make a habit of talking to your customers, you're going to hear what they want. And again, if you go back to the digital world and you look at software companies or these app companies, there's a concept called MVP, which is a minimum viable product. And that's the way we approached Everbowl was, let's come out with a basic menu, let our customers create their own. And that's pretty much what we have is a more of a create your own offering, and let the customers tell us what they want and then we'll provide it. And that's what people in the software business do, right? They build these apps or this software, they see what user behavior is, and then they adapt the software to give the user what they want, you know? And so again, in the vein of product development, that's really what it is it's, I don't have all the answers. So lose your ego when you're developing your product and skate to where the puck's going to be. Give the customers what they're looking for. You know, we used to offer a bunch of things that are no longer on the menu because customers didn't like it. Okay, no hard, no feelings, right? We have new items on the menu that I never thought would sell because I don't like them, but customers love them. Okay, like who am I to tell you what's going to be out there? So for me, it's about developing products that consumers want. And at Everbowl, we're Everbowl for everybody. And so if everybody wants a certain item and it meets our criteria of made from stuff that's been around forever and it's a superfood and it's helping people be the best version of themselves, we want to offer that product. And so for product development side, you're right, I didn't have all the answers and I don't think anyone does. And sometimes I get it. There are certain restaurant concepts where the experience is whatever that chef wants because you're going for that chef. That's not the case at my brand or our brand here at Everbowl. We're not an individual chef driven concept, right? You're not coming to Everbowl because we have one world-renowned chef. You're coming to Everbowl for superfoods. And so it was about being dynamic and being available.
Awesome. And this goes back to the whole connecting the dots, right? Because it's like all the expertise for the product development that you needed, it existed. It was in all the customers coming to the restaurants. And I really like that. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need to have a good enough product, the MVP, the minimum viable product, such that you can start collecting the feedback, which will inform that final kind of stretch and the continual evolution, right?
Yeah.
So,
and going back to that, I mean, that's what, again, whether you're in the restaurant space or not, that's all business, right? Whatever business you're starting, whatever business you're running, don't wait for a perfect product to launch. Too many people are waiting for perfect.
Yeah.
You don't know. The only way you're going to try is to try, right? So start trying, and then the market will help you adapt. And one of our core values at Everbowl, and one of my business core values, is being change ready. And it's so important, especially as we hit the pandemic and how a lot of businesses had to pivot and change. And if you're not change ready and you don't have a change ready mindset, you're going to go extinct. And you can see examples of this in history, right? From most recently, Blockbuster should have been Netflix, right? But they didn't pivot when the world changed. And BlackBerry could have been the iPhone, but they didn't pivot when the world changed. And MySpace could have been Facebook, but they didn't pivot when the world changed. And you can go back in all business time and you can see these examples of market leaders staying so stuck in the way they've always done it and being so afraid of change and adapting and realizing that the only constant is change. So when you have a change ready mindset, both personally and professionally, you can adapt with the waves and pivot when you need to pivot and move where you need to move and not go extinct and continue to grow and continue to develop and be the best version of yourself, both professionally and personally tomorrow, because it's a different world.
What are some of the changes you see on the horizon for yourself that you need to be ready for from the company's point of view?
Well, we made the big one. So we had all corporate stores up until March of 2020 when COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, we decided at that point it was time to franchise because we couldn't grow in all these markets with social distancing and travel restrictions, and realizing that our growth path had to change. We also launched a direct-to-consumer product offering at Unevolved Products. So we partnered with, in the United States, it's called QVC, which is basically selling products on the TV to people at home, and really went the direct-to-consumer approach to basically start selling outside the four walls. And that really was the birth of, and a deeper birth of Unevolved Products, which was another subsidiary of ours to make that bigger and stronger. And so the big franchise shift went. So we went from 28 corporate stores in March of 2020 to right now we are 100% franchised, and we have 112 more stores under development. So over the next 3 years, we've already signed 112 more Everbowls, and we're going coast to coast. So right now we're in the West Coast primarily, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and California. But we have franchisees opening now all the way from Florida and the Carolinas and Georgia and Texas and Tennessee. And now even talking to a couple people internationally, nothing yet by you, but I'm going to keep prodding you a little bit to bring Everbowl over there. And we've now expanded the horizon to be international and national. And so that was a huge change for us because we were really under the modality of corporate owned the whole path. And that was, we were never going to franchise. And so that was a big change. And I attribute that to COVID and just how we had to adapt.
Okay, and then going back to, so we're talking about product and then culture. Talked about change there for a moment. So just going back to the culture piece, you said culture is super important for you. Can you tell us, share some of the practical things that you did to foster the culture that you wanted, which presumably was quite easy to create in the corporate setting, but also how do you see that carrying through now in the franchise, setting? How are you going to protect that?
So I think it starts with your core values, and I think it's always important. And I think what you'll see with me as a common theme is clear, definitive direction, right? And what that is, your why. So again, I'm going back to that phrase, but it's so important. And for us, it's about our core values. And the first two are making friends and having fun. And it sounds very loose when I say that. And so a lot of people roll their eyes and go, okay, but that doesn't tell me anything. Well, that's just not true. There is so much depth to those two things that I just said that when you peel it back, we can spend an hour talking about making friends and having fun. And I'll give you a great example. When you're making friends and having fun as an employee at Everbowl, because those are the two main rules to work here, it means you show up on time because you don't leave friends waiting for you. You don't leave customers waiting for you. You don't steal. You're not derogatory. We're not treating people poorly. We're doing all the things that I could list out. Don't steal, show up on time, yada, 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 and feel like that. Or I can simply say, just make friends. Make friends with your coworkers, make friends with your customers. By doing that, well, the simple answer is I don't need to tell you how to behave. Do what you would do if it was your friend. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait, I know it seems simple, but in a culture perspective, when you don't have rigid rules that everyone feels like, okay, it's like school again, show up on time, obviously, just make friends with everyone. And the simple answer is, hey, so-and-so, like when we have to do corrective conversations and coaching, it's very simple. It's like, is that the best way you would treat a friend right there? No, you're right. You were having a bad day. No worries. I forgive you because you're my friend. So it's like, it goes back to that. And so we look for franchisees that can continue to promote making friends and having fun, because when you're having fun, you attract friendly people. And you can do this on the street right now. You walk outside and you frown at a stranger, they're going to frown or look at you weird back. But if you smile at a stranger, they're going to smile back. Smiling is very addictive, right? So look at someone, look them in the eye and smile. When you do it, you're going to get the same thing back. And now we're creating already a positive experience, both for coworkers as well as customers. And so that's what we're trying to promote inside of the Everbowl family is make friends and have fun, make it a positive experience, a positive environment. And as a result of those two, we can then focus on the next three for us. One of them I already hit, which is obviously being change ready, but another one is Kaizen. and that's to get 1% better every day. Recognizing that no one is perfect. We are all at different levels of experience. The company's at different levels of experience, and the world's changing. So can we get 1% better every day? Can we have obtainable goals that aren't so audacious that we're not going to hit them, and so we're always going to feel the pressure and stress of never being where we want to be? But can we have something identifiable that we can do today to get us a little bit closer to where we want to be long term, right? We know where we're going. Let's get 1% better today, 1% better tomorrow, 1% better the next day. And then we can start what we call stacking wins, or win stacking, right? Today we achieved it because it's 1%. I don't care what you're doing. We can all get 1% better every day, right? And so when you start to stack those wins, it starts to build a culture of success. We have something to celebrate daily. So while we're making friends and having fun at Everbowl, we're stacking our wins. We're doing little things and micro improvements. So we're seeing progress. So as a result, we're happy, we're having fun, we're making progress, we're achieving our goals. And now all of a sudden, it's like this culture starts to grow where people are like, hey, you know what? I can get 1.1% better, 1.5% better, right? You can do better than that. And things just really start to happen. And then you attract kind of all of this stuff. And the last one is just being remarkable, right? Being remarkability, and holding that as our standard that says, if we're going to do something, let's do it remarkably well. And so when you put all those together, you really have a fun culture. And I think you attract like-minded people, because if you're not outgoing, if you're not into smiling and having fun, and you're a pessimist, you're just not going to come work with us at Everbowl. It's just not the right fit. So we can really attract the culture we want. And, we hired this Brian Augustine. He's our chief development officer, but he came from Trader Joe's, where he helped them shape and develop talent. And so he's been instrumental in helping us take our core values and having a development plan or program to help develop our staff into these 5 core values. And this is what we use to make sure our culture stays strong.
Awesome. And how do you get that then to translate to the incoming franchisees?
Through franchise training. So when we are deciding on who's going to be a franchisee, we are very selective. I tell every potential franchisee, we're interviewing you as much as you're interviewing us, right? So you may want to move forward and we don't, or we may want to move forward and you don't. And so let's both find a reason not to move forward. And if we can't, let's do it. And we're looking for people who live and breathe the unevolved lifestyle, both personally and professionally, and can make friends and have fun. And if you can do that, I can train you to run an Everbowl store. I can train you to build out a chain of Everbowl stores and be a successful franchisee, but I can't change you as a person, right? So I'm looking for the right raw ingredients in the individual. They should be looking at us as a business opportunity, as an investment. And when we meet the right combination of raw human with good business fundamentals, it's a good fit for Everbowl. It's a good fit for them. It's a good fit for us. The culture continues to grow, and we continue to promote the unevolved lifestyle.
You have a view on work versus talent that I came across, and it reminded me of a conversation that I had with my at the time he was 15 years old, one of my boys, and we were talking about there's somebody smarter than him in the class, and I said, you know what? I said, Alex, I constantly have gone up against people who are smarter than me, and the way you got to treat it is that you got to look at that guy and you got to think to yourself, you may be smarter than me, but there's no way in hell you're going to outwork me. And I know that's a common kind of thing as well, just from the bit of research I've done on you. So can you bring that a bit more to life from your point of view? Hard work, how does that relate to talent? If there's a story to share about how that's been put into place for you, that would be amazing.
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, so the famous saying, right? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And it's clear because in a way, talent is great, but talent's also, unfortunately, a handicap for a lot of people. Because they're so talented at whatever it is, they don't have to work as hard to see the results early on when they're developing their habits, their pattern in that sport, in that business, in that whatever it is, music, singing, work, school, you name it, right? So if I'm a natural at something, I don't have to work very hard to get the results to be near the top early when everyone else is trying to figure out, like, how do I hit a baseball, or how do I sing this song, or how do I study that history stuff? If I don't have a photographic memory and I struggle, I'm going to have to read it 20 times. If I have photographic memory, it's like, oh, this is easy, right? So early on, when the talent level the talent gap is huge, they have this crutch, they have this unfortunate handicap, which is helping them early, but is going to hurt them later, right? As you get past that and we get to the level of professional world where it's like, I'm a professional, you're a professional, and we're competing, or we're in college, or we're in high school, or we're in post-college, whatever it is, you pick the level. All of a sudden, the person who's developed the right habits on how to work hard wins, right? Because you can't beat someone who never quits. Even if you're better than me, you're going to get tired, and I'm not. So I'm just going to keep going. You might beat me 364 straight days. I'm going again tomorrow. So unless you have that same motor, you have that same work ethic, you're going to eventually lose, not because I'm more talented, just because I'm going to outwork you. It's just sheer math. It's sheer numbers. It's like, you've probably seen like water hitting those rocks. And there's a beautiful illustration of this if you Google it. And it's got, I don't remember where it is, but they show a rock with water dropping on it. And there's 3 of them. And one shows 5 years, one shows 50 years, and one shows 100 years. And eventually the water breaks through the rock because it never stops. And so I challenge people who feel like I don't have the talent of these people, or I don't have the skill. It does not matter. Like, you can win if you're willing to outwork them. And when talent works hard, they win. Okay. I mean, and then you get the Michael Jordans of the world, right? When you have the work ethic with natural talent, sure. But there's a whole lot of success to be had because there are more talented people who are not where they want to be and are losing to people with less talent, because the people with less talent have the right work ethic. And so if I had to choose talent or work ethic, I will always take work ethic. I don't care about talent. Talent is it's fluffy. It's not tangible, and it doesn't amount to anything. And I developed personally because I was a small kid trying to play sports. I was always the little kid playing football and baseball and playing against bigger kids, and I had less talent. So if I wanted to play, it was either you have to outwork them or you don't get to play. And I had little man syndrome growing up. And so, it was kind of like that small dog that had to bark loud and compete. And as a result of that, I think it taught me to work hard. And as a result of that, I think that has allowed me to be successful in a lot of arenas, competing with people who have more natural talent than I do, or more capability. And so work ethic is the number one secret. I mean, the secret to success is hard work. And those who can find it without it, it's just a matter of time, and they're not going to be able to hold on to it, right? For that same reason, because talent will get you here, but work ethic will get you all the way to the top. And so I challenge everyone to realize that that's why it's so important. You have to love what you do, because if you don't like what you do and you don't have a clear why, those tough days, you're going to give up. And because I've always been able to identify my why, and my why is bigger than my what, I'm able to lean on that in those tough times, right? When it feels like, oh my gosh, nothing is going my way and I'm not seeing results. It's like, go back to my core values. Kaizen, what can I do today to get 1% better? Let me start stacking my wins, because guess what? I'm seeing progress against talented people that aren't seeing progress. So when they're feeling down, they quit. When I'm feeling down, it's like, well, you know what? I just got to get 1% better today. So a good analogy is if I was sitting on the couch and I'm out of shape and I want to run a marathon. Well, that's a big goal, right? Especially if you're out of shape. So it's like, today, just put your gym clothes on and sit on the couch and watch TV. Tomorrow, put your gym clothes on and walk to the mailbox. The next day, put your gym clothes on, walk or run to your next door neighbor's mailbox. And every day, just go one more mailbox. And you know what'll happen? Yeah, someone else who's running marathons is way ahead of you, but eventually you're going to be running further than them, because they're stopping at 26 miles, and eventually you're going to be 26 miles plus one mailbox, right? And so it's like you just consistently grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And the other mistake I think that stops people is they have unrealistic timelines. I need it tomorrow. Well, that's tough, right? I mean, you don't always get everything you want tomorrow, but if you drop the time constraint and you just say, my goal is this, whenever it happens, but I'm not stopping till I get there, and you lose time from it, it really makes that path so much clearer. Because once you start stacking those wins and you get that 1% better, you're going to see progress every day. And that's going to motivate you tomorrow to keep going. And you're never going to hit a day where you hit the plateau in the wall that stops talented people all the time. So that's my hard work beats talent.
I love it. I love it. And man, as soon as this episode's over, I am putting on my gym clothes to watch Netflix. My wife's going to be like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like,
running a marathon.
Yeah, I'm just like, slow incremental progress. It's gym clothes, Breaking Bad. That's what I'm doing. That's awesome. So there's a lot of cool themes in here, right? And I want to get back to that word liberation, because as I talk to you, it's there's a lot of liberating things, right? So it's you don't need the experience to start anything. We need to remember, right? As human beings, we're all born the same. You don't need any experience at all. You got to connect your way to that relevant experience. And then even as you shared, you don't even have to connect your way to the relevant experience such that you have whatever it is at 100%. You need to connect to it enough so that you could say, hey, is this good enough? Hey, for example, try the food. What's the feedback? How do I improve it? And then you improve it further. And don't worry about the people out there who are smarter than you. Just work harder. And if you work harder, it pays the dividends. I mean, there's so many great messages in there, Jeff. I love it. I want to end, though, with a little bit of a doomsday scenario, because it helps kind of like, it helps make the guests on this show real, right? So, or a little bit, more down to earth, right? We started down to earth. We said, hey, come on, humble beginnings. I want to end that way as well. So let's say everything fails. Fast forward 18 months from now, everything it's just all your goals. You've missed them all. You've failed. You know yourself super well, obviously. So if that were to happen, what would be the number one driver for that? What would be the reason that happened?
That everything failed?
Yeah.
I lost sight of I went away from my values. I went away from the plan. I believe success is formulaic. I don't think it's this luck. I try to minimize luck in life as much as possible, because we all have the same amount of luck. We're all going to get, some things are just going to fall in our lap, and some things are going to get taken from us that should be in our lap. And so if and when I fail or have failed, it's because, and again, I say fail, not a specific one little thing, like I want to hit a home run on the next pitch, or I want, or make $1 million tomorrow. But fundamentally, it's because I went away from those core values of making friends, having fun, being remarkable at everything I do, Kaizen, get 1% better every day, and be change ready. And most likely I missed the fifth one. I wasn't change ready. I didn't pay attention to what was happening. And so I wasn't in a position to thrive, unfortunately. And so, I'll leave you with something I do when I have those doomsday situations, because I think this is something that I helped me well. And if it can help someone else, I think it's great, which is, I call it my 5-minute pity party. I think we spend too much time in a state of pity, being a victim. So when things don't go my way, I set a timer on my phone for 5 minutes, and I curse, scream, cry, jump up and down, feel like a victim. The whole world's mean and it's all against me. And I go through the emotional reflection period. I let those emotions have their 5 minutes, but when the alarm goes off, it's done, and it's it. Now it's back to, how do we solve the next problem? What's the next thing in front of us? And so I give that emotion the attention it needs, but I limit it to 5 minutes. I think some people don't give it the attention it needs, and so it lingers with them forever, and it's gnawing at the back of them, or they stay there too long and they're feeling like a victim for the next 6 months, missing out on all of this incredible opportunity that's now in front of them. And so sometimes, when the world's punching you in the face, spend the 5 minutes. Again, 5 minutes for me, maybe it's 10 for you, but don't spend too much time, and don't spend zero time, because you have to give that emotion the moment, but not too long. And as a result of that, I give myself a 5-minute pity party, and 18 months from now, if that all happens, I'll pick myself back up and start anew, put my clothes on and watch Breaking Bad, so we get 1% better.
Love it. Should we, for the last 5 minutes, should we just like spit, scream, shout, swear, and do like a joint? No. But that's great. I like that idea too of not trying to repress, like just whatever it is, let it out, but contain it. And I really love the acknowledgement that you can have the hard work ethic, but there will be days that you don't want to do it, right? But then that's where your why and your values become even more important to power you through those low points. So, Jeff, it's been awesome, dude. Really, really enjoyed the conversation. For everyone listening and or watching, if you haven't checked out Everbowl yet, You're crazy. You got to check it out. Food's amazing. Jeff's an awesome guy. So make sure you look it up, check it out. And yeah, Jeff, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me again. Truly a fan of you and your show, and I'm always excited to meet new audiences and help share not only my message, but what has helped me, because I've learned from others. And this kind, listening to your show and all the guests you bring on is powerful, because you can take snippets from a lot of different people and find what works for you to be successful. And so, we're in this together, and I love being part of this community. So I appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome, man. Peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you like that interview, you're going to absolutely love my next interview with the co-founder of Reebok. Check it out here, my interview with Joe Foster, the co-founder of Reebok, how he built from scratch a multi-billion-dollar sports company. I'll see you there.